The autonomy for accountability exchange also implicates other relationships. Historically, when I talk about the dichotomy, authorizers and charter schools have been known to have sometimes tense relationships. Sometimes people equate it to the relationship between labor and management, or federal oversight of the financial markets. It's not always going to be cozy, nor should it be. But historically, the record will show that many authorizers don't have a tense relationship because they have no relationship. If an authorizer says, hey, our relationship's great, do a little digging to make sure they're doing their job. Because at some point, there's going to be an issue that comes up where naturally there's going to be some contention. That's not bad if it's productive. One of our core values in LA Unified is having productive relationships with our charter schools and our stakeholders. Doesn't say, always positive, productive. One example, conflicts of interest. Even today, if you look at the history in our state, there is a debate about whether certain conflicts of interest provisions, public disclosure provisions, apply to charter schools. You know about the Brown Act, Political Reform Act, Government Code 1090. These last two are conflicts of interest requirements. Political Reform Act, Form 700s, Government Code 1090, no self-dealing. Public Records Acts. You may have heard, the governor has vetoed legislation about making sure that those requirements are in the education code. That is true. However, nothing in our view precludes an authorizer from requiring those. We've done our homework over the last decade with the Fair Political Practices Commission and other appropriate agencies, and there's a foundation for authorizers being able to say that these apply. So, while historically there's been a question if authorizers are doing their job and making this a core part of their work, not an ancillary side, you take these issues head on and you have a rationale as to why they apply and why are they good for kids and why are they good for the public trust. And so in LA Unified, other districts like in other county offices like LACO, for example, and others, a few others in the state, ensure that charter schools adhere to those requirements. I like to say that our charter schools are among the most successfully and ethically operated organizations because of some of these policies that are required. All of our charter schools submit Form 700s. We have had some cases where they haven't done that or they've had self-dealing and they've faced the consequences. But on the whole, it's normalized so that the sector is stronger. I'd like you to ask yourself in your districts or your county offices when you go back, how are we doing on having these high expectations for our charter schools? And you do not have to reinvent the wheel. We each have resources. I know CarsNet provides resources. Here are some policies that other districts or county offices are using, and you can do a quick check. Are you doing that? If not, please remember this. Am I adding to the function of this field or the dysfunction? Am I helping to write the better history over the next 25 years, or am I just going to let it write itself and hope someone else does the job? Am I going to keep the charter school work for after hours, or am I going to put it as part of my core mission? These youngsters need our attention. And over the last 25 years in California, many have had it, and schools have done a yeoman's job. But many have not. And some folks say, hey, authorizers, we're not the ones that have an impact. We're not their day to day. It's the schools. Absolutely, the schools have the first line of responsibility. But if we do our jobs correctly, I strongly believe that we have a hand in ensuring those youngsters are getting a great education. Because if we don't do it well, we can have the opposite effect.